The sky was calm that morning, the sun rising slowly over the horizon, painting the clouds in red and gold. People were waking up, starting another normal day. Children were going to school. Workers were rushing for buses. Farmers were out in the fields. Everything felt ordinary. Then the ground began to shake, not like an earthquake, but like something deep above was pressing down. People looked up and froze. At first it looked like clouds gathering, but then the clouds tore apart and massive shadows appeared. They were ships, battleships larger than mountains. Their bodies covered the sunlight, stretching so far across the sky that people could not see where they ended. Some were black and sharp like blades. Others glowed with strange blue lights. Their engines hummed like thunder. Shaking the air itself, children screamed and pointed. Parents pulled them close. Cars stopped in the middle of the roads. The whole world stared at the sudden visitors. News channels broke their programs. Cameras pointed toward the sky. And across the globe, the same question filled every mouth. What is that? The ships did not hide. They wanted to be seen. They wanted to be feared. Slowly, hundreds of them arranged themselves in formation. Perfect lines above the cities. Their presence was like a warning, like a giant fist hanging in the air. Then a deep voice filled every speaker, every television, every device on Earth. The sound was not in any human language, but somehow everyone understood. The words were proud and cold. People of Earth, you stand before the fleet of the Kargoth Dominion. We are the rulers of the stars, and we have come to show you true power. The message was repeated again and again. Every corner of the planet heard it. The aliens wanted no one to miss their announcement. The ships moved slowly, almost like they were showing off. Weapons glowing on their sides, barrels larger than skyscrapers, energy fields sparking around them like storms. They fired a single blast into the empty sea. The water boiled and rose into the sky as steam. A hole as deep as a canyon appeared in the ocean floor. Cities near the coast shook. Glass shattered in windows. People fell to their knees in terror. Some prayed, some cried. Some simply stared in silence. The voice spoke again, louder, filled with arrogance. You will not resist, you will not fight. You will accept our rule and you will be grateful. For under our dominion you will be spared the fate of weaker species who chose defiance. For a moment, it seemed true. What chance did humans have? Their jets and tanks looked like toys compared to these monsters in the sky. The alien ships looked invincible, but not every human bowed. In the crowd's faces grew hard. Whispers began, anger burned. Humanity had been threatened before and they had survived. People began to ask the question the aliens did not expect. Do they really think we will kneel? Still on the surface, Earth stayed quiet. There was no attack. No answer. No declaration. The aliens took this silence as weakness. Their commanders laughed among themselves, certain that humans were impressed, certain that humanity was too afraid to respond. But beneath the silence, something else was happening. Governments across the world went dark. Military channels locked. Satellites shifted their positions. Secret doors opened in hidden bunkers and deep beneath the oceans. Machines that had slept for years began to awaken. The aliens could not see this. They thought their arrival was the end of human freedom. But for Earth, this was only the beginning. And so the stage was set. Above the blue planet hung the greatest war fleet humanity had ever seen, arrogant and sure of victory, while below, in silence and shadows, humanity prepared to reveal a secret that would shake the galaxy forever. The alien ships hung above the planet like a ceiling of iron, their shadows stretching across oceans and continents. The people below felt small like insects under a heavy boot. The air itself seemed colder under the presence of those giants. The Kargoth Dominion did not come only to threaten, they came to display their strength, to remind humanity that resistance would be foolish. Slowly, the fleet began its performance. One of the largest ships, black as night and sharp as a spear, lowered itself above the Pacific Ocean. Its hull stretched for kilometers, glowing with crimson lights on its side. Rows of weapons lit up one by one, each brighter than the sun. The deep voice of the alien commander echoed again, carried through strange technology that needed no wires or satellites. Behold, humans, the fire of the Dominion. No world has ever survived our wrath. No nation has ever stood against us today. You will witness why. Then the ship fired. A beam of pure white energy shot into the ocean. The sea split open as boiling waves rose into the sky. The blast tore a hole in the water, creating a vortex so massive that entire islands trembled. News cameras captured everything. Millions watched live. Children screamed as their parents tried to comfort them, but their own eyes were wide with fear. The world had never seen such destructive power. More ships joined the display. One fired into a desert, and the sand turned into glass stretching for miles. Another fired into a mountain range, and the peaks shattered like toys, clouds of dust rising high into the atmosphere. The alien voice laughed, cold and cruel. "This is only a fraction of our strength. This is mercy. We could have burned your cities. We could have ended your species in seconds, but we offer you survival. Serve us, and live." In the streets of Earth's cities, panic spread. Some fell to their knees, begging for mercy from gods or from the sky itself. Others shouted in anger, fists raised against the impossible. In government bunkers, leaders watched in silence, their faces pale but their minds racing. The aliens believed fear was victory. They thought terror would break the human spirit. They watched from their control rooms, confident that humanity was already kneeling, but something strange was happening. The aliens noticed it too. They expected screams, surrender, desperate messages begging for peace, yet Earth was too quiet. There was fear, yes, but also something else. Something they could not understand. On the surface, humanity showed no reply. No leaders came forward to accept the alien rule. No armies surrendered. Instead, the world seemed to be waiting, holding its breath. The alien commanders whispered to each other, their voices uneasy. Why are they silent? Why do they not beg? Do they not see our power? But the leader dismissed their doubts. They are primitive. They are frozen by fear. Silence is surrender. Still, the Dominion continued their show. More ships fired, lighting the skies with storms of plasma, waves of destruction tearing through uninhabited areas. Each blast a warning of what could be done to cities if humans dared to resist. And yet, in the hearts of many humans watching, something began to change. Fear turned slowly into anger, into defiance. Children who cried at first now stared with narrowed eyes. Parents whispered, "We will not bow." Soldiers in secret bases clenched their fists. Pilots checked their hidden crafts. Scientists pressed codes into machines never shown to the public. The aliens did not know, but their arrogance was feeding the fire of human unity. Every blast meant to break humanity was instead forging them together. Enemies became allies, rivals became brothers. Earth was no longer divided by borders because above them all was a threat too great to ignore. Still, the Dominion celebrated. Their commander broadcast again, "This is the power of the stars. This is the fate of those who resist. Your only future is under our rule. Your only choice is obedience." His voice thundered across the planet. But deep underground, in places the aliens could not see, the humans were already making a different choice, a choice the aliens would regret. The alien fleet floated above Earth like a storm that never ended. The sky no longer looked blue. It looked filled with iron, filled with shadows, filled with power that no one on the surface could deny. The Kargoth Dominion believed they had won already. They had shown their weapons. They had shaken mountains, boiled seas and burned deserts. They had filled the planet with fear, and in their minds fear always meant surrender. But what came next was not what they expected. For days the humans said nothing. Not a single leader sent a message. Not a single government waved a white flag. Cities went silent. News reporters stopped asking if the world was about to end. Instead, they whispered that something was happening behind closed doors. The aliens grew confused. Their commanders argued in their giant war halls. Some said the humans are frozen in terror. They have no courage left. They are too weak to answer. Others said, "No, something is wrong. This silence feels heavy. This silence feels planned." The alien leader silenced them with a roar. "Do not waste thought on insects. Their quiet is proof of our victory. They will obey." Yet even in his voice, a small crack of doubt was beginning to show. On Earth, the silence was not fear. It was preparation. Beneath the oceans, massive doors of steel began to creak open, hidden for decades under waves and sand and mountains. Long tunnels hummed with power as forgotten machines awakened. Deep underground, bases that did not appear on any map lit up with red lights. Scientists who had lived in shadows for years were called to duty. Generals who had disappeared from public view returned to command posts. Engineers dusted off blueprints older than themselves. And in every secret chamber the same thought echoed, "The time has come." Still, to the outside world, Earth looked passive, looked broken, looked small. This was the mask humanity wore, a mask of silence. Children asked their parents, "Why are we not answering them? Why do we let them speak like this?" And the parents would only whisper, "Wait, you will see." The aliens sent more messages, demanding surrender, demanding submission. Their words grew sharper, angrier. "Obey us or face destruction. Obey us or vanish from the stars." But each time, Earth answered with silence. That silence was louder than any scream. In the alien ships, unease grew. Some captains paced their decks, looking at radar screens, wondering why Earth's military satellites had shifted slightly, why so many signals bounced from the oceans, why deep space sensors caught faint movements far away. The alien leader ignored these questions, laughing before his commanders. They are ants. They hide underground because they are afraid. Their silence is surrender. Do not mistake it for defiance, but even as he laughed, his eyes flickered toward the dark side of the moon, where something unseen stirred. For humanity, silence was the oldest weapon. They had learned long ago that sometimes noise gave away too much. Silence made enemies nervous. Silence made enemies reveal themselves. And now, silence was buying time. World leaders met in hidden bunkers, their voices steady, though their faces showed the weight of history. We cannot let them see our fear. We cannot show our weapons too soon. We must wait until the moment is right, one leader said, and the others agreed. So the people of Earth kept their silence. The world above looked frightened. The world below was moving, building, preparing. Days turned into nights. Nights turned into days. The alien fleet grew restless. They sent patrol ships closer to the surface, their engines shaking the air. They wanted to provoke. They wanted to draw humans out. But still Earth gave no reply. The silence became a wall, a barrier the aliens could not break. And behind that wall something enormous was gathering strength. Some alien captains whispered among themselves, "What if we are wrong? What if they are not weak? What if they are waiting?" But their leader silenced them with fury. No, they are broken, they are finished, their silence is fear. Yet in the hearts of humans, silence was not fear, silence was a promise that when the moment came, the galaxy would learn something it had never known before. And so the world waited. The aliens above grew impatient, and hidden beneath oceans, mountains, and stars, the warships of Earth prepared to rise. For days the alien fleet had waited, their massive ships circling the skies like vultures. The people of Earth remained silent. Their governments offered no reply. Their armies stayed hidden. To the aliens it looked like surrender. But beneath the quiet surface, the truth was very different. On the fourth night, something unusual stirred. Alien sensors picked up strange signals from deep space. Faint, steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat in the dark. Commanders dismissed it at first, thinking it was interference, but then more signals appeared. Stronger this time, moving closer at the same moment. Strange vibrations were detected from the oceans, massive shapes rising from beneath the waves. The alien captains frowned, their instruments showing metallic masses where there should have been only water. The people of Earth saw it too. Fishermen at sea shouted in disbelief as the surface split apart, giant steel doors opening, and from the depths, colossal machines began to rise. Warships, unlike anything the world had ever seen before. The first ship emerged from the Pacific, water cascading off its armored hull. It was black and silver, its design sharp, angular. Not like old human vessels, it carried weapons glowing with blue fire, weapons no one outside secret bases had ever imagined. Another rose from the Atlantic, its engines humming like storms, the sea around it boiling as it climbed into the air. Then another from the Indian Ocean, each one larger, more advanced, more terrifying than the last. And then the moon itself betrayed the alien eyes hidden on the dark side. A door opened, and from the shadows enormous crafts drifted out, their surfaces cloaked until the moment they activated, lights glowing across their bodies like stars. The people of Earth who watched from below gasped, first in fear, then in awe. The silence was finally breaking in the alien war halls. Confusion turned to alarm. What is this? Where did they get these ships? How could they hide them from us? Their commanders shouted, screens flashing with new readings. The alien leader narrowed his eyes, his arrogance shaken for the first time. He leaned forward and said, "These are human ships, but they are different." The first human warship spoke, its voice echoing across the skies, broadcast to every channel. "We are the guardians of Earth. We do not bow, we do not kneel, we rise." The aliens laughed, but their laughter was nervous. They compared the sizes. Their fleet was still larger, their weapons more ancient and tested. To them, these human vessels looked like toys. "They cannot match us. They are desperate insects," one captain sneered. But the design of the ships made their skin crawl. The lines were sharp, the weapons too advanced. Some looked like rail cannons, others like energy cores, and deep inside, the aliens felt something they had not felt in centuries. Doubt. The human ships moved in silence, steady, confident, like predators circling their prey. No panic, no hesitation. Their engines glowing brighter on Earth. People cheered for the first time, their fear turning into fire. Children pointed at the skies, shouting, "That is ours." "That is us," soldiers saluted in secret bases. Scientists smiled through tired faces. Their work finally revealed, the alien leader forced a laugh. Impressive for a primitive race, but too little. Too late. He commanded his fleet to tighten formation. Weapons ready, but the truth was already clear. The humans had been silent for a reason. Their silence was not weakness, it was strategy. They had waited, hidden, prepared, and now the galaxy would see what they had built. The stage was no longer only for the Dominion. It now belonged to humanity too. Their warships standing proud against the invaders. The aliens had wanted awe. They had wanted to be worshipped. But instead they had awakened something far more dangerous. And high above Earth, in the cold of space, the first true clash was about to begin. The alien fleet filled the heavens like a storm of steel, their battleships glowing with cruel red light, weapons ready, engines roaring like thunder. Below them, the human warships floated in formation, rising from oceans and moon bases, smaller in number. But standing with quiet confidence, the silence between the two sides lasted only moments. A silence so heavy it seemed the whole planet was holding its breath. Then the aliens fired first. Beams of burning energy shot from their cannons, bright enough to blind the skies. The ground below trembled as the blasts raced toward the human fleet. The Dominion expected destruction. They expected the Earth's defenses to fall in seconds. But something strange happened. The first human warship shimmered with a shield of blue light. The alien beams hit and bent, wrapping around the shield like water around a rock. The ship held steady, untouched. Gasps filled the control rooms of the Dominion. Their commander shouted, "Impossible, their technology is primitive. How can they resist our weapons?" But the proof was in front of their eyes. The human warship answered. Its cannons glowed with white fire, and in a single strike, a beam cut through the nearest alien vessel. Slicing across its hull like a blade through glass, the giant ship broke apart. Fire spilling into space for the first time. The Kargoth Dominion tasted fear. The battle exploded. Alien ships fired volley after volley, turning the sky into storms of energy. But the human warships danced between the blasts, moving faster than alien computers could predict. Their engines bent gravity itself. Their shields twisted light. They were not clumsy machines, they were predators. One human ship launched projectiles, rods of pure metal traveling at impossible speed. Railguns thundered, slamming into alien armor, tearing holes so wide entire crews were sucked into the void. Another human vessel unleashed a pulse of energy, not fire but something stranger, something that bent the alien systems, turning their targeting arrays blind. Enemy weapons fired into empty space, missing every shot. The aliens screamed in rage. This cannot be. They were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to kneel. Their formation broke as panic spread, ships colliding in confusion. Meanwhile, humanity fought in silence. No arrogance, no speeches, only precision, every strike chosen, every movement exact. On Earth, people watched the skies in awe, their fear slowly changing into pride. They saw the enemy burn. They saw human warships cut through giants, and they cheered, voices echoing through cities and villages. Still, the battle was not easy. Some human ships were struck. Shields cracked, armor ripped, crews lost. But even in fire and destruction, they held firm. They did not retreat. Their captains shouted, "For Earth, for all of us." And their crews fought until their last breath. The Dominion fired their most powerful weapon, a massive cannon hidden in the heart of their flagship. The beam was so strong it burned through the clouds and split the night sky in two. It struck a human warship dead on. The ship shook, shields shattered, engines flared. For a moment it seemed the vessel would fall, but from within the ship roared back, its core releasing a wave of counter-energy, reversing the blast, pushing it back into the alien cannon. The Dominion flagship staggered, its weapon exploding from within, pieces of its hull falling into orbit. The alien leader roared in fury, slamming his claws against his throne. "They cannot win, they are nothing." But his voice trembled as he spoke, because deep inside he knew humanity was not nothing. Humanity was becoming something unstoppable. The clash raged across the skies, fire and light tearing the heavens. The world below lit with flashes brighter than the sun. To those watching, it looked like gods were fighting above them. When the smoke began to clear, the impossible truth shone through. Alien wreckage floated in orbit, their mighty ships broken and burning, and still the human warship stood, scarred but alive, weapons glowing, engines ready. For the first time in their history, the Kargoth Dominion realized their power was not absolute. They realized that the humans were not prey, the humans were not ants. The humans were hunters, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The battlefield above Earth was filled with smoke and fire. Alien wreckage floated in the void, burning silently. Pieces of ships drifted into the atmosphere like falling stars. The Dominion fleet, once so proud, was now broken and confused. Still, the aliens fought. Their commanders shouted, "Regroup, focus your fire, crush them." But their voices no longer carried the same confidence. Behind every order was fear. Behind every word was doubt. The humans pressed forward, their warships shining with strange energy, their movements sharp and precise, every strike tearing another piece of alien pride away. It was then the Dominion began to realize these ships were not built in panic, not built overnight. They had been prepared for years, maybe even longer. The alien leader slammed his claws into the armrest of his throne. How did they create this? How did these primitives reach such power? His eyes narrowed as he studied the human fleet. There were secrets here, secrets the Dominion had not seen before. One human warship released a new weapon. A sphere of dark energy pulsed from its core. It spread like a shadow across space when it touched an alien ship. The vessel twisted, its metal bending, its engines collapsing inward, until it vanished into nothing. A silent implosion. The aliens cried out in shock. They harnessed singularity power. Impossible. No primitive race could touch black hole energy. Yet here it was. Right before their eyes, another human ship unveiled something different. Panels across its hull shifted, and suddenly the vessel disappeared, turning invisible against the stars. When it reappeared, it was behind enemy lines, firing a volley of weapons into the exposed rear of a Dominion cruiser. The alien ship split in half. Their technology was beyond anything the Dominion expected. Weapons that bent light, shields that absorbed energy, engines that broke the limits of speed. Some ships carried cannons that fired metal rods faster than light itself, smashing through alien armor like paper. The alien commanders shouted, "This is not possible. No young race could build this. Someone help them. Who gave them this power?" But the truth was harsher. No one had helped. It was all human work, created in shadows, hidden under oceans, tested far from alien eyes. Humanity had been preparing long before the Dominion arrived. They had learned from centuries of war, centuries of survival. They knew they were small in the galaxy, but instead of surrendering to fear, they built in secret, building for the day when the sky would burn. The alien leader's voice grew heavy, filled with dread. They are not like the others. They are not prey, they are something else. On Earth, the people watched in awe as their hidden weapons revealed themselves. They saw beams of light tearing through alien giants. They saw human ships moving like predators among prey. For the first time in history, the entire world stood united under one feeling: pride. Still, the cost was heavy. Human warships were damaged. Some crews were lost, but even in loss, the ships kept fighting. Their captains refused to fall. Their voices carried across the battlefield. For Earth, for humanity, we rise. The aliens tried to rally, but their weapons felt weaker. Their shields cracked, their formations broke, and for every strike they landed, the humans answered with two more. Then the greatest reveal came. The flagship of Earth rose higher, larger than any other, hidden until this moment, its hull glowing with golden light, its weapons humming with power that shook the void. The ship broadcast a single message across all channels. "This is Earth's strength. You thought we were weak, but we are the storm you feared." The Dominion stared in silence. Their leader's mouth opened, but no words came, because in that moment he understood the truth. Humanity had never been impressed by alien power. They had been preparing to surpass it. The galaxy, listening from far away, heard the clash, heard the screams of the Dominion, heard the rising roar of humanity, and they understood too. This was not the story of prey bowing to hunters. This was the birth of a new hunter, one the stars would never forget. And so the legend of Earth's secret power began, forged in silence, revealed in fire, and destined to echo across the galaxy forever. The battlefield above Earth was quiet at last. The roars of cannons had faded. The beams of light had died. The sky, once filled with fire, now glowed with the dim light of wreckage burning in silence. Alien battleships that had once cast shadows across continents were now nothing more than drifting ruins, torn apart, broken, their flames scattering into the void. The great Dominion fleet, so proud, so invincible in their own eyes, had been humbled. Only a few of their vessels remained, scarred, smoking, shields failing, their crews in panic, their commanders in disbelief. They had never known defeat, but here, above this small blue planet, they had been crushed. The human warships floated steady, their hulls damaged, their shields cracked, but they stood victorious, glowing with the light of survival and strength. On Earth, people filled the streets, pointing at the sky, their voices raised not in fear but in pride. They had watched the impossible happen. They had seen humanity rise, and they knew nothing would ever be the same again. The alien leader sat on his throne in silence, his claws shaking, his pride shattered. He had promised the galaxy that humans would kneel. He had expected worship, but instead his fleet was in ruins, his soldiers dead, and his name dishonored. He gave the only order left, retreat, his voice cracked. And the remaining ships turned, their engines burning weak, dragging their broken bodies away from Earth. As they fled, the largest human flagship rose higher, its golden light shining across the battlefield. Its voice echoed through every channel, every ship, every home, across Earth and beyond into the stars. "We are humanity," the voice declared, steady, unshaken, filled with strength. "You came to impress us with power. You came to break us with fear, but we are not impressed. We are not broken. This is our home, and we will defend it against anyone who dares to threaten it." The words traveled far, carried by signals into the darkness of space, into the ears of other civilizations listening in silence. The galaxy heard and the galaxy trembled. On distant worlds, rulers and kings of alien empires sat in their chambers, their advisors whispering, "The humans defeated the Dominion, the unstoppable Dominion, if they could do this. What else are they capable of?" Fear spread like wildfire, whispers turning into warnings, warnings turning into legends. Among common people of other species, there was awe. Some cheered quietly in secret, for if the Dominion could be defeated, perhaps others could be free too. Humanity's victory was not only their own. It was a spark across the galaxy, back on Earth. The people embraced one another. Families held their children close, tears of relief streaming down faces that had once held only fear. Soldiers saluted the skies. Scientists wept with pride. Leaders shook hands in hidden bunkers. For the first time in history, the entire world had stood as one. The silence that had once confused the Dominion was now understood. It had not been fear. It had been strength. A strength that waited, prepared, and struck when the moment was right. The human ships drifted in formation, damaged but alive, proof of what humanity could endure. Their crews stood tall, not as conquerors but as protectors. They had defended their home, and in doing so, they had changed their place in the universe. The alien survivors vanished into the void, but their shame would never vanish. Wherever they went, they carried the memory of defeat, the first time in their long history that prey had bitten back, and bitten harder than the hunter, and so the legend was born. Passed from world to world, from species to species, whispered in fear and in respect. Do not underestimate Earth, do not test humanity, for they are not weak, they are not prey. They are the hunters of the stars. High above, the human flagship broadcast its final line, a warning, a promise, a truth. "We are ready for anyone, for anything, for any empire that thinks itself stronger. Remember this day, remember our silence, and remember our answer." Then the channel went dark. The war was over, but the message remained, carved into history, echoing through the galaxy. The humans had spoken, and the stars would never forget.